Bowling, folks, bowling and bowling greens. Well, before we get to bowling greens, let me just say this. I watch a number of programmes every day, probably about 6 or 8 programmes, and I see what subjects they're covering during the course of the day, and maybe what or which personalities they're going to have on during the day, and then I comment on it based on what I see. Now, I've been watching old Jeremy Vine now for probably 18 months. I've only commented on one item he's ever had in his show, and he has 3 to 4 items on every single day. Never found anything on there worth talking about. His normal 3 items came up today, and the second or third one, I think it was the third one, was bowling greens. Should taxpayers' money go towards the upkeep of bowling greens? Because more and more councils now are seeing bowling greens shut down or more areas because no one can afford to run them. They're not getting enough subs coming in to take care of the greens. And some folk are saying councils should look towards the upkeep. And when I first heard it, I thought, I'm not so sure about that. They're trying to spend our money in all manner of ways. And I actually bowl myself, folks. I do a bit of it myself. I'm not particularly good, but I do a bit of it myself. The family, an extended family, do a lot of it, a lot more than I do myself. But I thought about it, and I thought, to be honest with you, it's probably something that they should do. And I forwarded it, because I watched this probably 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon. It was on at 10:15 this morning. I forwarded it to the piece on bowling greens, and they only ran it for quarter of an hour. I think 2 callers rang in. But before they actually ran the piece, they showed a bowling green down south. Not the old crown green bowling, which we do here in the northwest with a crown in the middle of the green, but like flat green bowling. And it showed about 60 people there. Probably it was just one game on one midweek game, I'm guessing, and there's 60 people. And of the 60, there's probably 20 of them that are a lot closer to a coffin than anything else. 30 of them particularly old, and 10 younger. And when I say younger, I still mean 40s and 50s. But I'm thinking to myself, it is primarily an older person's game. In Warrington, where I come from, you've got a few young ones, a few very young ones, a few that bit younger. But in the main, I would imagine the average age is anything from about 40 to 75, I would imagine, 40 to 75. And I would imagine the biggest amount of people that play the game are over 60. There's probably about 60 to 75%, I would guess. And when they were talking, I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? And looking at the pictures there, it is something they should keep, because it's a way for many older folk to actually get out of the house. I mean, I know somebody, for argument's sake, that 7 days a week there's bowling on in sort of for about a 5-month period during the course of the year, and they're out 6 days a week. Sometimes afternoons and evenings, and that for me is overkill. But this person absolutely loves it, and it takes this person it gives this person something to do for 5 or 6 months a year. I think when the bowling season ends, I think this person is scratching around for something to do. But with bowls, and because of the age group there, you have a lot of people with mental health problems and getting towards mental health problems, and there's always big drives to do with mental health. You have plenty of people that are lonely. You have plenty of folk where a guy's partner's died or a woman's partner's died and they're on their own. You get many older folk that are living with various illnesses, some of them terminal but some of them not, but they're long-term illnesses, and often the partner becomes the carer. It gives the partner sometimes a chance to get out of the house and meet other folk, I suppose. And I thought, it really is good for the older generation, it really is. And the great thing with bowls is, you can be absolutely any age to play it. You can play it at sort of 12, 14, 16 years of age to 20 to 30 to 40, but you can play it at 60, 70 and 80. I've known folk that are playing it into the late 80s, early 90s. There isn't that many, but I've known folk that are doing it. And there's not any other sports out there really that you can do that, and you can do that with a decent level of competence if you've learnt the game. It's not over strenuous, but it gives you something of some exercise. But more importantly, it gets you meeting people and keeps that working, rather than vegetating in your armchair in the front room. So I think there definitely is an argument for it, and I think it's something that I would advocate myself. I'm not so sure it'll ever happen, but I think they should. I mean, where I come from, area Warrington, they've closed a good few greens down over the years now, not just councils, but also bowling clubs themselves, because folk can't pay for the upkeep, and it's really sad, really. It really is sad. Some of these places have been running for 40, 50, 80, 100 years, and I'm one of those old folk that doesn't like change, and I hate when old places go. When I first started myself, I used to bowl on a green that I absolutely adored. I knew it like the back of my hand and loved it. It's now got probably 6 flats on there, and you think, what a shame. What a shame. There's plenty of places for flats, but people have probably played on that green for 70, 80, 90 years, and then one day the owners decide, boom, that's it. No, we're not going to do it anymore. We can make a few with a few flats here. It's not paying for itself, and part of me gets it, but it is. It's just sad, and it's happening all the time. You know, and the thing is, my lad plays is particularly good. He's in his sort of just at 30 now, but he's been doing it since he was 12 or 13 with a lot of other young guns, and it just gave him an interest and kept him off the streets. Funnily enough, my lad's got about 5 or 6 really, really good mates, and they're all from getting to know each other at 12, 13 and 14 playing bowls, and they've stayed together ever since, which is weird. They both are the same teams, they go out together. Really strange. You know, without bowls, he wouldn't have had that, and they're some of his best mates, if not his best mates. So there's a lot to be said for it, there really is, and I don't know, I mean, at times where folk don't talk about their illnesses they have and whatever else, and the national health is struggling, and there's a lot more sort of illnesses out there, you know, and then you've got your things like your dementias and all that palaver. You know, I think it's good when older folk have something to do, and other old folk to be around, and also young folk. They're meeting young people as well. You know, it's keeping people invested in life rather than, as I say, just sitting in front of maybe a 2 or 3 bar fire in winter time, watching the TV, or summertime for that matter. Not that you love your fire on, but do you know what I mean? It takes you away from a TV and from being bored to tears. You can watch TV the rest of the week, can't you? But at least you're getting out and you're meeting folk, and I think it's a good thing. So, I don't know, your thoughts, they're welcomed down below, let me know.